What's up, outliers? Quick video outlining the week ahead, what we have coming down the pike. And this past week was a general massive rally across all the indices we saw in SPY, Qs, IWM. So I just want to talk really quick about essentially what this week looks like coming up. And then I want to take a look at GameStop and the repositioning following the recent options expiration and just some general thoughts behind that. So in my opinion, you can tell when we look at SPY, Qs, IWM is the only exception to this rule right now, where both of these other indices are kind of starting to roll over a little bit, not in terms of rolling down, but in terms of consolidation. These aren't the same parabolic up phases that you see here. It started in SPY, kind of starting to trend sideways, and it's been sideways again in Qs for a little bit. IWM caught a breath of fresh air when the FOMC committee and their Jay Powell's retreat right now to Jackson Hole, they're talking about essentially cutting rates. So the markets writ large really like that. Volatility is down again, yet again. It essentially hit a high of last week. We were up to 1806 and then it closed down at 1586. So vol got pretty meaningfully suppressed by that. So when I look at the week ahead in this context, I'm looking for two things. I'm looking for, are we going to continue a consolidation phase, which is likely what I would expect as of right now, maybe a little bit of breath of fresh air come a little bit later in the week. But when I look at the futures right now, E-minis are down, Russell is up ever so slightly, and the NASDAQ is down. So all that tells me is that I'm not sure that this is parabolic up still, probably a little bit of sideways activity coming our way. Now, a quick look at GameStop specifically. Let's grab that. And the week ahead for me probably will be quiet. That's what I'm assuming. Unless there's some sort of really significant catalyst that enters the picture. As I look at GameStop right now, we just came through another options expiration, and there wasn't a lot of density. Now we're coming up on yet another weekly options expiration that is also not dense at all. This front expiration only has 70,000 calls against 19,000 puts. Again, for a product like GameStop, that's very, very light. And you can tell because when I look at the open interest here, typically you'll see a lot of, right now, purple is the front expiration. And normally I would see a lot of purple, but I don't. I actually see a lot of green, which is 18 oct 24. And then I see some gray, which is 17 Jan 25. Then I see some of this orange, which is 16 Jan 26. All I'm highlighting is a mix of expiration cycles in the open interest. Now, I'm still very eager to see how we do in earnings. And there's two things I'm really curious about here. The first one is, do we finally get a little bit of context and information regarding what we're doing with the money from the at the money offering? I think that's highly pertinent at this point. We know GameStop is sitting on a fat bed of cash, which is awesome. We need to use the cash to grow the business, to do things. Cash by itself is good, but we need it to feed the business, which as of right now, again, some of you might be a little more plugged into it than I am, but I've been reading as much as I can from GameStop directly, and I'm just not seeing a lot. So I'm really hopeful that during this earnings release coming up, because from my understanding, GameStop doesn't tend to do calls. They tend to just do the release itself. But I'm hopeful that maybe they'll have some statements associated with it about what we're looking at here. And I think a lot of investors are starting to ask that same question. And again, rightfully so, because if we go through an at the money, which again, does technically dilute, but how much it dilutes and stuff like that, I don't want to get into the weeds there. But the at the money, I think, made sense given what it provides GameStop the ability to do. But from a leadership perspective now, I'm very curious what they are going to do. And I just haven't gotten a bunch of information on that yet. So that's the first thing I'm really eager to experience through earnings, which is, again, right now supposed to be on the 4th before the market of September. Now, the second thing is I still think this volatility needs to come up. It's already come up a little bit. It's now at 78%, but it still is utterly shocking to me that the expiration cycle that includes earnings here is at 78.5%. And then the following expiration cycle, which is also, this is nothing. This is just another weekly expiration cycle, is all the way up at 95. That's also very interesting to me. There's part of me that thinks maybe they think that the earnings release might shift out. Again, that is pure tinfoil because I have no idea why that would happen other than the fact that I just see a lot of volatility in another weekly expiration without something I positively identify why it would be the case. Typically, if I was looking at an options chain and I see this kind of vol here, my assumption is actually that earnings would be here, not here. So have to see where we go from there. But as always, I'm really stoked for the week ahead. There's a lot of opportunity out there in the market right now. And I'm going to keep looking at GameStop. As you know, for everybody that's interested, the live stream sessions for this week will be posted on the YouTube community page so you can see what's coming up. But it's essentially every day at 5 p.m. Pacific time. We got something. Be an outlier. I'll see you guys later.